Hi and welcome to Skincare by Sydney. I'm Sydney, I'm a dermatology PA and your guide to skincare. Today we're talking about exfoliators. There are two main categories of exfoliators. One is chemical exfoliators and the other is physical exfoliators. So physical exfoliators are going to be gritty. It all has to do with texture. It's going to feel like sand that's near the beach. That's our goal. There are exfoliating cleansers that have a little bit of grit in them, but those are actually different than exfoliators. So the other category of exfoliators is chemical exfoliators. This is actually broken down into two other categories. We call them AHAs, alpha hydroxy acids, and BHAs, beta hydroxy acids. Sometimes you'll also hear them called AHA and BAHA. So salicylic acid is a beta hydroxy acid, BHA. It's pretty much synonymous. With AHAs, we have glycolic acid and lactic acid. These are considered a little bit more gentle, and lactic acid is actually even more gentle than glycolic acid, and it has a little bit of a hydrating quality as well. So there is an exfoliator for all skin types. When we think of sensitive skin, sometimes we get a little bit nervous about exactly adding this in. And one of the things I want to talk about today is how we shouldn't be nervous about exfoliators because they're so important. And I actually see a lot of things in social media saying like, only use chemical exfoliators, don't use a physical exfoliator. And so I want to kind of break that down and explain why. So let's start with chemical exfoliators. These are ingredients that you will see in cleansers. They're really common in toners, and that's really how I like to use them because you can easily take the toning step out if your skin is overworked, if it's a little bit dry because of the weather or because of COVID mask, or because of the other ingredients that you're using. So we think of these chemical exfoliators as things that can kind of be added in and then also taken away. There are some people that might only use a toner once a day or a toner with these chemical exfoliators a few times a week. So what I truly believe is that we need the chemical exfoliators, but we also need some of the physical exfoliators. So when a lot of times when I say exfoliator, I am really meaning like a physical gritty exfoliator. And this is a product that you're gonna start by using like once a week or 1 to 3 times a week. You're going to use it after cleansing, and it truly feels amazing. Sometimes physical exfoliators get a bad rap because, well, one, St. Ives scrub. There are some physical exfoliators that have plastic beads in them and can actually cause damage to the skin. So I want to show you some examples of ones that are approved and they're good. I don't want anyone to be afraid of exfoliating. Even if you have dry skin or sensitive skin, you can definitely over exfoliate, but I think that is just as bad as under exfoliating. So one of the reasons I wanted to talk about this is because, like I said, I see a lot of things from even like qualified sources saying, sources meaning people that are posting and have a background in skincare or training in skincare, saying that you should only use chemical exfoliators. And I feel the need to speak up for people that have my skin type. So I have like normal to oily skin, mainly just normal. It's not oily or dry, and I'm extremely breakout prone. Well, exfoliation helps with cell turnover, like physically, and to me, it is what helps improve a lot of some of the imperfections that I experience on my skin. And then for my experience with all skin types, and then probably the opposite of that is like dry, sensitive skin, exfoliation is also important. We just want to make sure that we're always replenishing the skin, so we're moisturizing and adding hydration back in. So that's again why a complete skin routine is so important. So let's break it down. I'm going to show you some examples of how you can add exfoliation into your routine. If you have sensitive skin, then we're going to start with more of the chemical exfoliators, and we can kind of build on that, because our skin does have memory and it will change and become healthier as we exfoliate. And one thing before we jump into products is that a big part of aging, one of the things that's going on in our skin is that our skin cells don't slough off as often as they did when we were younger. So for example, like a 2-year-old and younger, their skin cells, it's like every 2 days, or 1 to 2 days, they have their new skin cells come to the surface. So that is why their skin can be so soft. And as far as like how supple it is, some of that has more to do with collagen and hyaluronic acid. But as we age, generally we'll say around age 30, it takes about 30 days for your skin cell life cycle to do their thing. So exfoliation is an important part of texture for the skin, and also helps with the tone, so like discoloration, especially darker discoloration. But it also is in that anti-aging category because of the way that the skin cell life cycle works. So I truly believe that everybody needs exfoliation, and that is typically a step that is missing, whether it's a toner or a physical exfoliator, like as a part of the weekly routine. These are steps that are typically missing when I do skincare consults, and when we do follow-ups, people say their skin feels so great, and it's because we've exfoliated and then we've also replenished it. So I want to show you some examples of adding chemical exfoliators to your routine. Let's start with some toners. So I've made a video about toners. Basically, they're not necessary, but my point was that if we can add some chemical exfoliators, then we're helping prep our skin for the products that follow, but we're also adding ingredients that are going to help brighten and help prevent breakouts, help with breakouts that are there, and then also will help with like any sun damage or the dark spots we get from where acne has been. And then it's anti-aging on top of that because of helping the cell life cycle speed up. So here are some examples of toners. I really love toning pads because if the pad is textured, then it is a physical exfoliator. I think that Zeo pads are the best. And so this is an example of you're getting chemical exfoliators, but it's also a physical exfoliator. So some other toning pads that are really popular are Barefaced, and this is an example of a chemical exfoliator, but the pads don't have any texture, so it's not a physical exfoliator, which is totally fine. I just want you to know what you're using. Here's a cleanser that is called the Glycolic Renewal Cleanser. So the texture of it is very smooth. This is a chemical exfoliator, not a physical exfoliator. And then I have a Exfoliating Cleanser by Zeo. This is actually sample size. This is an example of a chemical exfoliator because of the ingredients. Then it's also a physical exfoliator, exfoliating cleanser, because it has these beads in it. It is not a true physical exfoliator, but it's a combination of the two. So let me see if I can actually show this to you. So you can see here maybe that there are some beads in it. And then another example of how to get chemical exfoliators on the skin, you'll see some products like this. This is SkinCeuticals Glycolic 10 that you leave on overnight. So it helps with cell turnover. Sometimes I'll use this if I don't use a toner, but a lot of people's skin, including mine, most of the time I can cleanse, tone, put this on, and then sometimes we'll add a retinoid or not. But just an example, chemical exfoliator that you leave on versus a chemical exfoliator that you can get in like a toner or a cleanser. So sometimes this is good for people that have more sensitive skin. It might be a little tingly at first, so what's cool is you'll see that your skin tolerates it more and more as you use it. Okay, so here's an example of a liquid, this is a cleanser, but there's also a toner. So this is another chemical exfoliating cleanser. It has salicylic acid 2% in it. So now let's switch over to physical exfoliators. ZO, the whole basis of ZO is about exfoliating, and I think that it's a wonderful concept, and one of the reasons that, as far as skin health goes, Dr. Abaji has it figured out. So they have an exfoliating polish, which is a physical exfoliator only, and then they actually have a dual action scrub that's gritty, and it also has some glycolic acid and lactic acid. It might have salicylic acid too, but that's an example of a combination physical and chemical exfoliator. This is one of the recommendations I go to for a physical exfoliator, and this is about $68. This is a sample size, so I always like to have options for all price points. So Vasanti is an example of a physical exfoliator. I'll show you what it looks like. And you actually can't really probably tell, but when you rub it on, it's gritty. There are exfoliating cleansers that you can get at the drugstore. There are also some exfoliators, like physical exfoliators, but they're just never the same quality. Even Vasanti is like $34. There is a Neutrogena Bright Boost, which I'll write below, that I think is the closest thing I've been able to find to a physical exfoliator that's more of a medical grade quality as far as the texture goes. St. Ives, no. I tried a Palmer's cocoa butter. It was not good. So anyway, I'll write all the recommendations below. Lastly, I wanted to talk about some other forms of physical exfoliation, which can be through dermaplaning or shaving your face at home. And then microdermabrasion by an esthetician is a form of physical exfoliation. And lastly, there are some devices, like cleansing devices. I think a lot of us we're familiar with Clarisonic, which went out of business in 2020. So there are like cleansing, not really brushes because you want it to have a silicone head. I think the best one on the market now is the NuSkin Lumispa, which has a silicone head, and you can use that twice a day. It's just a way to add some gentle exfoliation as well. So that is the scoop on exfoliators. And remember, those are different than exfoliating cleansers. When we're talking about that physical exfoliation, my experience and goal for patients is that we all benefit, all skin types benefit from a chemical exfoliator and also having a physical exfoliator. It just has to be synergistic with the other products that you're using. And you always hydrating and moisturizing and showing your skin some love so that you can wake up the next day and continue to do a routine that's going to help with anti-aging, with breakouts, overall skin texture, and tone as far as brightening. I hope this has been helpful and informative. I think that most days exfoliators are one of my favorite parts of the skincare routine. So please let me know if you have any questions based off this, or if you ever wonder how to kind of incorporate this into your routine. I offer several different consult options so that you can be successful. I'm always here for you, and please subscribe below. Thank you.